Good morning, traders. February the 20th, 2024. We have no major news today. We're trading the ES, and the reason we're doing that is the NQ moved so rapidly last week that few people could even trade it. We traded it, but it was extremely difficult, and it just seemed, and it would run for 2 hours. So we're trading the ES. It's moving okay. We know it was our preference to trade the ES. We did it for a long time, but it moved much more significantly than it does now. You can see we had some movement, but if we go back, let's see, make sure we got this set correctly. The movement, other than this recent breakout right here, is barely adequate for trading. So we might be forced to go back to the NQ. But what we don't want to do is to put people into positions that are not really tradable. So we'll just sit back and wait and see. If we get a pullback here and another re-entry, we'll give that a shot, depending on how it looks. Right now, we're on the what we call a major fib. And it's just sort of straddling it. So we have the 618, the 382, and the mid fib. We know these are powerful fibs and can reverse us very quickly. So we've got a 148 here on the entry chart in our higher time frame. And I'll show you here. We're running 1714. And again, of course, this is the day after a holiday. And normally you don't get a lot of movement. And it's the ES, which is not being kind to people recently either. Let's enlarge this and take a look. So it moved much better earlier in the morning than what we're getting right now. Let's add a few things here. So we're in an uptrend. And the market has not opened. And many times at the top of the hour, as we state over and over, we get some movement. You don't necessarily, and probably literally don't want to be into a position at that time, because you can get chopped and stopped and then return right back to the direction you're in prior to the top of the hour or the half hour, which is less significant, but it is significant. So we're going to give it a minute, see if it comes down to the 34, the 89, and gives us some support. Let's look at our yeah. So it looks like the Europeans had a much better market, and the Asians had a little bit also. So as we stated, that fib pushing us back down. We're on the 200. Let's see if the 200 holds. We had a counter trend off the fib, but as same with the NQ, we're not going to take counter trend trades. They work and can work really well, but the probability is not as good as the non-counter trend, the trend trades. And our goal here is to make our profit, close it, bank it, and wait for a new day. If we continue to trade all day, I mean, that's up to you. You got your own trading plan, but normally what will happen is you'll give it up. You'll give it back, which we don't like that. You should not like that. Our key is consistency. Small account, medium account, large account, doesn't matter. We handle them the same. This trade was viable, and I was up, but for whatever reason, and I had traded last night, worked at least. But this was extremely slow in loading, and it didn't load until several minutes after this. But this was a good trade. It was a little out of position. We like to see this configuration the most, where the moving averages are flared, or many call it fanning. Flared, fanning, separating from each other. You like to see the distance here between the two. The 200 is trying to hold it. Again, it's slow. We can see we're red on the HUD. And we're going to go right back up into the fib. This is a little large here. The 200, we're going to make that smaller. I'm going to go with Rider here. And see if we can get out of the tightness of this area and trigger long. I have the ATM set pretty aggressive. I mean, it's 10 with a 6 target, 10 stop loss. And I'm moving it up rapidly, tick for tick, behind the stop. And at 5 ticks profit, I go to break even +2. Why do I do that? Because I've seen this over and over, not go through the 6, and it'll come back and stop you out for 10. And we don't like that. We will make an assessment of the NQ and see if it is more tradable for the average person in the room. We don't want to have a room where only 10% of the people can even put on a trade. We got 5 minutes before the top of the hour. And if this continues to stutter down here, we will likely clear it and re-enter. I normally love the trio, as you know, and it's remarkably accurate, but I didn't like the movements. We would have triggered in likely, and maybe not, and we would be on the way to getting stopped out. That's why we chose Rider. Rider is less aggressive and more selective, and allows for momentum pickup prior to entry. We have what we call a sticks, but it's a wick forming, which is another entry. But again, I'm going to wait and see if I can get Rider up. 4 minutes prior to entry time. Let me see if I can add that clock to my system. this over here out of your way. We got 3 minutes. Top of the hour. So hold on. Here we go. We're going to clear this. We got a big nothing here. Let me go back again. Move this out of your way. We'll make this black. So we can see the seconds tick. We basically have 1 minute and 5 seconds. Let's see if I can make this a little bit more visible. I think that's probably better. Maybe here too. Let's take a look. All right, we're at the top of the hour. Nothing dramatic happened. It pushed down. We're just going to keep our powder dry, as they say. From a century ago in the military, I assumed where that saying came from. I figured this would be slow until 9:30, and it may continue to be slow afterwards. It has not been very cooperative for trading for quite a while, whereas it was recommended futures contract for most to trade. But recently it's been tradable and much less volatile than the NQ. So we'll hang until the 9:30, see what happens, and see if we get trades. If we're having difficulty still, we'll take a look at the NQ, and that will be around 10 o'clock. I mean, and it may be insane because usually it's even from early on, it's just been remarkably volatile and super fast, and some tremendous spreads also. Our goal is not to trade for fun, but we're trading for income and success. Okay. We're going to go back again in anticipation and to get into line for a limit fill. And well, we still got a big nothing here. This is a swing pivot. If we get movement at the 9:30 a.m.-ish time frame, we will probably select that as our opening time. We don't want to sit here for hours. We want to reach our goal. So when we call and give the ability to enter, 2 or 3 trades successfully, we will call it a day. I've personally been in rooms where they just would sit there and call losing trade after losing trade after losing trade and continue to trade. When you take if you take two losing trades, especially when depends on where you get stopped out. In this case, we're aggressively moving up behind the entry, up or down. So it's not 6 win and 10 loss. It's difficult to catch up. And if you sit there and make 5 losing trades, you're not going to catch up. Even 3 is virtually impossible. And when it's moving like this, it's, less opportunity. So you can see the job this fib did on the price action. Down once, down twice, down 3 times. These are powerful fibs. 618, 382, and the mid fib are formidable, especially when we have low volume and low price movement like the current situation. Seems like there's plenty of time to go get coffee or go to the comfort room or just sit and focus. But we're not going to take anything into this. I mean, obviously we got a downtrend going down, but if you look at this, I'll show it to you. You get things like, I mean, this would have stopped almost everyone out if they were in it. And if you took the trio down here, let's see what that would have done. We might have stayed in it. Let's see. We took the trio. Yeah, it wouldn't have stopped us. We'd still be in it, but we wouldn't have made any progress. So what's the point? And honestly, some people know this, but many don't. One of the keys to trading is when in the heck to stay out of trading. I usually do this. This is the higher time frame. This is our second chart. This is from 6:48 this morning. It's possible maybe to grab some ticks, but not probable. And even this, I mean, for instance, you wouldn't have taken this going down through the moving averages, which would actually give you fits. Let's change this color here. Hold on. I want to change this a little bit because we want to be consistent. We normally make this purple, and it's still a little large. I don't want it to interfere with. So what I wanted to show you is we're straddling the 200. And most people that knows don't take trades even around the 200, especially unless it's cleared. Like you could have, if you took this, it was a big risk because nothing's in the right order. Now, right here, when you see the flaring, it's better, but still we need the 200 to be below this price action to be more consistent with what we like to see. All right, we're at 9:14, and we've done absolutely nothing. This is what we've done since the market hit the top of the hour at 9. We'll wait for 9:30-ish. But this is not the end of the day. We know that today is the day after a holiday. The volume and movement yesterday was extremely restricted, and we're looking at the long term. We want to keep our accounts intact. We want to move up weekly and hopefully daily, meaning we do our best to stay out of markets that aren't tradable. This one's got a lack of movement, which is many times not tradable. The NQ has such extreme movement that it can be non-tradable. There's no news today. I think tomorrow we got the Fed notes released at 2 o'clock or so. And that actually affects the market somewhat. Just releasing of what the Feds were thinking in the last meeting. So we have to take that into consideration. Keep in mind, we still have rider selected, but we're not going to take it across the half hour. The market open in this case. It's just not feasible. Let's just go ahead and, or I can't tell you what to do, but we're going to go ahead and clear this. And you have to do what your plan calls for, your trading action plan. Okay, we're going to just sit here for a few minutes. Wait until they open and see, and then we'll know what action we're going to take after that. We're still waiting. We got 7.5 minutes or so. Tomorrow we might switch this around and do the opposite of what we're doing right now, which would be start with the NQ, and if it's insanely fast, we'll drop down to the ES. I'm going to add a tracer chart on one of my monitors, which will allow me to follow both pairs. And the other possibility, but it's normally it doesn't work this well early, is oil, and I mean, COVID brought it to a screeching halt, but it has had some pretty good activity lately also. So let's see, get another chart up here for the NQ. Huh. I'm taking a look at the NQ, and let's see, 49. It was just as big of a problem, but it's broken out to the downside, the same as the ES, but it moved, let's see, a lot. It moved down from the trigger point 56 ticks, and that's the difference. 2218. Yeah, and it took a few minutes. But there was absolutely no other trades. Not at all. I'm going to lower the setting on the bar size. Yeah. When I lower it, just got more chop. Let me go back up a little. And that's something we have to contend with, especially now, which is we might have to change bar size, ATM settings, or many things in the course of a day. We're 2 minutes before the open. And we're sitting on resistance. It's trying to push through a prayer pivot, but you can see it's not necessarily going to clear it. This is our swing pivot, from the prior low at 837. We got a little less than 1 minute. Let's just see what we get. And we'll give it a minute or two or three and see if we can get a trade. Thirty seconds. Of course, now we're moving up. And if you tried to take this breakout, you'd have been stopped. And you want the breakout is when it closes below this pivot. Again, we're staying out. We're going to go back over here. We'll load this up. And so we're at the market open. The NQ is running extreme, of course, which we would anticipate at the open. Much faster than you would likely get a fill without tremendous slippage, if at all. We're going to look at this to enter manually. I want this to go through the pivots, but I need a pullback. Let's go ahead and just for the heck of it, I'm gonna select for a wick or pullback if we get it, and then a re-entry or reestablish the movement, in this case upwards. This follows the NQ, and it's been moving up strongly on the open, and so has the ES, which tends to follow it, but not with the speed that the NQ is moving. Okay, we got a fill. We made our first profit, and that was worth waiting for. This is one contract of the ES. We've got a big pullback coming. Let's take a look and see what we're coming up into. Okay, we hit the mid fib, and that's where we got this setback. I'm going to take this off so we can see this better. We got a trio down. We want to see this. That was a very good trade. I want to spiral up here. And I may just see. I think we're going to wait. And the reason is these are too powerful. And we got all three. We haven't separated that well from them yet. And if you notice that ATM, it moved rapidly. The price, the stop below the price action, it just pushed it up. And that hit quickly, which if you weren't in there, you would not likely have gotten into it. We didn't get filled to start with either. We had to pull back to hit our limit +1. Okay. That's why I didn't want to jump into that. This fib is powerful now. It's resting on the 618, and it's likely to hold and go right back up. Our price action, we like the fanning of these moving averages. Obviously, the thing we don't like is the 200 being flat, so we haven't established enough momentum up for it to be really fanning upwards and tracking price. But that'll occur if it keeps moving up. I mean, we're back in consolidation, and the NQ's doing the exact same thing. The NQ's trying to break out, so we could very well see the ES follow. The NQ's trying to break out, but it's pulling back hard, very quick. A second to move a tremendous number of ticks. And I'm going to re-emphasize what our goal is. Our goal is if we can get $100 per contract consistently, we add contracts. And that can be done. It should always be done with your account size growing to support it. I don't want to take this. Nothing is in the right order here. We want the really high probability trades, if we can get them. And we're 7 minutes into the open, and we don't seem to know what direction we want to take yet. We're still in a partial uptrend with the moving averages. See what the NQ does. The NQ is incredibly difficult again. to trade. I mean, it's seconds to move a tremendous number of ticks. Back down on support from the swing pivot and a prior swing pivot, which I'm going to take off of here right now since they're so close. Now we're in a confirmed downtrend with the EMAs. What we want is
retrend down.
A re-entry. We're going to put sticks retrend just in case, because we might not get a lot of opportunity to get into it if we're not anticipating in advance.
Bill.
We got an entry. But with this market, we don't know what's going to happen here at all. We're not far off the fib low, if you can see in the left-hand chart. Just hope it gets pulled down there towards that without stopping us out. Yeah, we know we'll get something if we get stopped. Okay. We've traded smartly. We've reached our initial goal, and we're just going to cool it. We'll come back. We're going to take a break, and we will come back, let's say at the 10 o'clock mark, and we're going to take a look and see what else. But we don't want to give this back. We traded well. We reached our goal, and that's one contract. And many people trade 3 to 5 to 6. Some traded. We've got big traders, medium traders, and some people trade the micros. But it's the same. You can grow your micros into the minis, which are 10 times the value. And actually, when you reach 10 micros, you want to go to the mini generally because the commissions are much higher on the micros. So it's way more efficient once you reach that threshold. So we will see you back here at 10. We're going to look at the NQ and some other things. It may be a few minutes afterwards because the market runs crazy right at 10, but just anticipate it. Take care.